Sam, why don't you introduce yourself and your business to us?
Okay.
That'd be great.
Sam Hickey. I'm a Texas A&M graduate, class of 2002. My business
Woo!
is Creekstone Outdoor Living.
Awesome.
We started in 2009, really as a patio cover and outdoor kitchen company. I had looked for a way to get into basically start a company doing home remodeling, but I wasn't real confident in doing kitchens and bathrooms and being inside of the house and doing gut remodels. And I felt like patio covers and outdoor kitchens were a good way for me to do that.
Now, did you have a background already in construction? Had you been doing that all along, or is this new to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I came out of A&M and started working for a production home builder. I spent 2 years at a production home builder in Houston and made the jump and went to a custom home builder and spent about 5 years at that company. And really had a great time at both of those companies, really got promoted fairly quickly. Everything was going really good until the subprime lending market kind of crashed on us in 2008.
Right.
And then Hurricane Ike hit. And when Hurricane Ike hit, I was a division manager, area manager for the custom home builder with the in-town market being my division. And, it was like they turned the faucet off. And so I had actually started doing patios and outdoor kitchens really as just a way to supplement my income. I had took a job demotion. Actually, they called me in and said, hey, you hadn't really done anything wrong, but the market's contracting and your area is now under this guy's area and you're going to work for him. And so compensation changed quite a bit. And we had just built a custom home, and my wife and I had just had our first child. And with the compensation change, it was just something that we talked about and said, things get worse, we want to be able to control our own destiny. And so we started doing patios and kitchens.
Right. Been there, man. That's a great story. That's a great story. No one to depend upon but yourself at that point in time. Right. Nobody can fire you but you. So
that's right.
What is it about construction? Were you a construction major at A&M? Was that where
I was not. I grew up on a farm in Hondo, Texas.
Oh, did you?
Went to A&M. I was really good at math and science, and like a lot of guys coming out of high school, I thought that I needed to be an engineer.
Got it.
And so I made the decision to be an engineering major. Ended up kind of in a long path. Ended up in agricultural engineering and felt pretty good about that being a good home for me. But had some trials and tribulations. My dad passed away when I was a sophomore at A&M, and I actually took a semester off. And when I came back, I decided, I guess that was my third year at A&M, that I wanted to do something a little bit more business based, and decided to change majors and went into agricultural systems management, which was a really good fit for me. That was a great major, great people. I still keep in touch with the department, and but really was a good fit because it was kind of half ag engineering and half ag business.
Right.
And so I got to pick up some of those business background classes, and still didn't really know what I wanted to do, and got pre-selected through the Career Center at A&M by a production home builder, and went to an on-campus interview and ended up going to work for them right out of school.
Wow, that's great. I actually have two kiddos that are, I say kiddos, they're adults now, but they're about to graduate A&M, and both of them are ag business majors. We've been very happy with it. It's been awesome. Yeah, I've got a connection with you on the whole Hondo thing. So my wife's family is from the Hondo area.
Okay.
And there was an old hotel right there on the, don't drive through heaven like hell, right? The sign as you're going through Hondo. And it was the Rupke Hotel, Rupke. And man, our house is actually decored from the Rupke Hotel. My wife was one of the last descendants. And so after that happened, they were about to tear it down. And, we were like, well, we're going to come take our stuff out of it. So we have just a ton of antiques that are still that we pulled out of there very much. What was funny is that old man Rupke, when he left that hotel, he was actually in the same business you are. So he was for those at that time that were affluent enough to be able to afford it, he fixed up backyards and did all their landscaping and for all the big ranches in the area, including the 777 and all those others. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
really.
awesome.
Yeah, man. It must run in the water there or something. Who
There
knows?
you go, man.
Yeah. So tell me, what is it? One of the things that we try to do as we dig in here, just so you know, one of the
Sure.
things that we really are focusing in on is what makes good businesses great, right? And it's not like the good to great thing. It's like how did you align your values and how did you align your belief systems that drove your brand? And when I say brand, I'm not talking about your logo. I'm talking about that voice that brings good to everybody and you feed families and that you believe in. So we're always looking for that extra kind of deep edge in there. So I know how you got into it, but what is it makes you believe in it? I guess is my next question for you.
I'm passionate about it. I kind of equate building backyards to farming. You plant the seed and we're a design build company. So we start from a sketch or something on a napkin or just an idea, or we go out and look at something and we're able to visualize that and see it. So being passionate about it, I think obviously is key, but I think without sounding cliche, the reality is I think what kind of sets us apart from the majority of our competition or a lot of our competition is we just bend over backwards to make the customer happy. Wow. And that's kind of been our mantra since we started. If you got happy customers, the business will build on itself. And I think that's really why we've come as long as we have.
That is awesome. And that's the truth, man. At the end of the day, they say that entrepreneurs don't have bosses, but you sure do, don't you? It's that client, right?
I used to joke with a lot of people, and it's true that when I started my business, I wanted to be my own boss, but literally I've got, any number of bosses, but every client's my boss, right? We're going to work for them. We're building something in their backyard and they're the boss on that project.
That's awesome. So in this journey that you were on as you went and you were making the decision to leave, a semi-secure job and going out your own, what was the darkest moment there? What was that moment where you said, what did I just get myself into? What was that you can remember?
Yeah, my business in particular, I was very fortunate to start something just completely organically with very little overhead, very little expense. It was really my name and my time that I put into it. So the blood, sweat, equity that I put into it. And so the path was fairly easy and uneventful for the first, 5 or 6 years. And I know that's not common for a lot of guys that are starting their business, but that was the reality of what I was dealing with. Was things were just kind of cruising along. Things were going pretty smooth. And then I had this great idea to really blow the thing up and open up a brick and mortar retail store. And I had been in business probably about 5 or 6 years when I kind of had the idea of opening a brick and mortar showroom that could act as a retail store that sold, everything that goes in the backyards that we build. And it took a couple of years to bring that to fruition. But that was a huge undertaking for me. I had a lot of real overhead at that point. We had added quite a few employees. Obviously, the rent expense of being in a commercial strip center, came with that. And I think that at that moment, very quickly after that store had opened, that, it was kind of like, oh my gosh, what did we do? And is this going to make it? And, what direction are we going?
Right. Yeah. Well, obviously it didn't face plant. Obviously everything turned out okay.
Yeah. It just took, it takes just like, I think that was really my first test at being an entrepreneur, right? Was the undertaking of that store and getting it off the ground and making sure all the pieces fit together. But certainly, we did a great job at assembling a good team. We had some great people come on board, and obviously they were instrumental in making this thing work. We've certainly got over the hump and now we're looking at doing it again. So wow. I guess that's the curse of being an entrepreneur, is we don't really know when to stop.
Well, and around here, this place is filled full of entrepreneurs, man. All of us together that work on this gig, but we often, realize that there is a big difference between being a business owner and an entrepreneur. There's two different things, and that one big point, and I say this in many of these podcasts, is that we really have to restrain ourselves from chasing shiny objects. Right? There's always a new great idea. Hey, I can figure this out if we just a little more time, and I can have 2 or 3 of these going. Don't worry, we're going to end up. Yeah. Not always making the main thing is a problem. What was your deepest learn, I guess, is where I'm going to this, as you were pivoting and you were doing, hey, you had the service business going, but at this time now you're going to go to retail. What was your big learn from there that you can share?
Well, just, time's your worst enemy. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day. And obviously, kind of pairing that with the fact that, well, I think the biggest thing I learned is how valuable your people can be.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we brought on board to start the retail store were, there, you couldn't put a price tag on it. One of the guys that I brought on to start the the retail store, when we sat down and first talked salary, I was, trying to hold that number down as low as possible. I was, offering a cut of the store, and he, fortunately or unfortunately, we were able to work things out, I guess, in a different manner. But, it was a lot more overhead up front, a lot more guaranteed money. But,
Right.
I turn around and look back on that moment, and it was a no-brainer. I mean, just to give him what he asked for, because he's paid me back tenfold.
Right. So, that being said, you're obviously building a team, right? So you have this team going, you've learned the ins and outs, you kind of have the rhythm going. How is it that you go about linking your business and your team to that market where they believe in you and people keep returning? Is it a conscious effort? Is there something you did that makes people trust and believe in you? Is there a magic mix for you that you can talk about?
Well, I think, having regular meetings with your people, even the sub teams that you may have put together. We have obviously a number of sales designers, we have a construction staff, and then we have a couple of draftsmen, we have a couple of office staff. And I actually sit down with most of those groups personally once a week, and then we do a full staff meeting once a week as well. But I think those regular meetings keep me disciplined, but it's also allowing me to, communicate the passion and teach them things that I would do and how I would handle things. And, not only just on a one-on-one where we have those conversations weekly, but in a group setting where there's a lot of feedback. But they grow so much just hearing your passion and how you would handle things. And I think that's just a big key to it.
Yeah, that transfers over to your customer, right? Over to that client. They get that feeling of security. One of the big things that we find is that trust is probably 50 to 60, 70% of our entire business, right? We can have the do outs and we have to do a great job, but they have to trust us. So the thing that you're bringing up is awesome, because as we build businesses and as we've gone building businesses and doing the things, we found that the one key point with the internal piece of the business is leadership. And that is the crux of all of it. You can be the best financier, you can be great at raising money, you can be great at structuring, you can be great at marketing, but at the end of the day, if you don't lead, that business has a tendency of not doing well. And it sounds like you're doing that. What is the key to leadership for you there? What do you wake up in the morning telling yourself that you have to do in order to help others get better?
Communication's big, right? And you got to lead by example. They've got to, I mean, if you're going to tell them to do something a certain way, you've got to handle yourself and do things that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
So communicating that to the team and making sure they have a good understanding of how you would handle things if you were in their shoes or if they were in your shoes, I think is extremely important for that.
It is. It's a big deal. But to pivot a little bit, my other big question, I've got a bunch of them, in fact, but how are you marketing right now? How do you let the world know who you are and what you're doing?
We did a number of different things through the years. Going back to almost to the beginning when we really jumped into marketing, I started with radio advertising on sports radio and felt like that was
tech tags.
No, actually, we've looked into that, but no, I did sports talk radio. I think it was AM 610 in Houston.
Okay.
And they did a good job for me. It was very odd. I've learned different things about different advertising segments that we've done, but in the radio world, I found it so funny that, you know, I think we did radio for a year or two, and I mean, we never got just a huge influx of calls, but one thing that I saw, you know, after we stopped doing radio a year later, we'd get a call and they'd say, well, I heard you on the radio. And that was pretty awesome to know that ad that you had put out on the radio that far back was still stuck in their mind. I mean, they could have, in their head, they heard it yesterday.
Right.
So that was pretty cool to learn that. We did some print after that, and we pivoted when we opened up our brick and mortar store. You know, we have the neighborhood presence, I guess, the storefront presence. So we ended up pulling out of print and going specifically just as much, you know, organic SEO and Google AdWords. Those are really the two spins. And we've done home shows and stuff like that in the past, but right now, currently everything is done through digital, through our website and through Google.
Yeah. Inbound marketing, you know, is that if you look at that go-to-market chart and you look at inbound marketing, it's always for certain, it depends upon what the total contract life is of your client. But, you know, if you're somewhere below that $18,000 a year mark, year after year broken out, inbound marketing works, and it works really well. I'll tell you, for us, one of the really cool things was when we moved across the street from Kyle Field. And being in a marketing company and, you know, integrated, we do everything. But I tell you what, this big black building with our name up there has just drawn great traffic. And, you know, that was a big deal, you know, just like you're talking about that community piece. And I say this all the time too, and I know that it just gets said too much, but we go by a mantra here that a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Right. And so we're always pushing that. But I tell you what, those signs in the neighborhood do make a difference. It does. But, you know, here's the deal. Let's talk about the future. What is your future going to look like? What's the big plans?
So we've got plans to expand. We want to open up a second retail location on the west side, out in the Katy Fulsher market segment.
Okay.
You know, we've been searching for the right spot. And one thing that I think we really found on this first location was that the location is just probably the most important ingredient into opening a successful retail store. So we're very particular about where we're going to go. We're, you know, unfortunately having to be very patient to find that spot. We've been negotiating with a couple different locations and landlords, and you know, we think we've pinned down a spot, and it's probably going to be about a 12-month turnaround before we're able to get opened out there. But hopefully things will continue to progress on that front, and we'll open up that second retail store, and hopefully the sky's the limit.
It's funny because when I listen to you, you say, it's going to be about 12 months. To the average entrepreneur, they're going, how are we going to make it through the next 12 months, right? What's that going to look like? But it sounds like, you know, you're pretty optimistic. You're looking at going, well, it's going to be 12 months, but it's going to come to fruition and it's all going to be great. That's a cool place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the economy that we're dealing with right now is not the most steady or great economy we've dealt with, but you know, we feel like that our market in Houston and Texas in general are definitely trending still in the right direction. We're still getting a lot of reloads. The home building market in Houston is still very strong, and our sales numbers that we're continuing to put up look really good. So yeah, I think we're excited about the next 12 months. And obviously when that store opens, we're super excited about what that's going to bring us.
Awesome. Well, hey, on a business standpoint, and I love to ask these questions, especially when people are building a second site. So if you were brand new coming into your second site and you were able to talk to yourself who built your first site, what advice would you give to yourself in that one?
Oh man, I think just be patient and continuing to keep your eyes on the goal, right? I mean,
right.
You know, we know the recipe works. And if we just stay the course and stay patient and do what we know is the right thing to do, you know, I think the sky's the limit.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it's really wonderful to have a hindsight, right? To be able to talk to yourself and have been through the experience and know where that leads to. But still, I guess in this talk, what is there? Are there any worries on your part about? I mean, you've talked about the economy and things that are going to happen, but a lot of people that listen say, what are the challenges that I'm going to have to get through, right? And what are those?
Well, the biggest challenge I think we're encountering in this second location currently, and this is affecting a lot of people right now, is construction costs have
Okay.
gone through the roof, right? So,
Yeah.
this particular location, the landlord's looking at doing a build to suit for us, and obviously the rent rate is
Hmm.
based on construction cost, right? So the biggest concern I have is, are we pursuing this at the wrong time? Is this doable? Is the inflation going to affect us in the long term in that sense? And so we're looking at different ways to control that in the form of lease negotiations, and
Right.
really just kind of taking a patient look at it and making sure we're not rushing into anything. If it's the right location, then really and truly we feel strongly that that'll work itself out. But I think that inflation and construction cost and timeline are obviously a big concern across the board.
Yeah, I think that's probably been most people. And that's at this point in time, what we're seeing is a lot of companies. And it's funny being, in our business because we get to see the ebb and flow of businesses in a lot of different sectors. And there's always a ton of commonalities, right, that you can see. But one of them right now is holding on to cash.
Hmm.
Right. So that's a big part. So we also see the two different types of leaders in this category. You have one that says, hey, we're going to go ahead and dig a hole in the ground and we're just going to put our heads right above the level of that lip and we're going to hope that this just passes us right over, and if we do, then we're going to evolve out of that and then we'll move forward. We'll just kind of wait it out, right? And then you have the other one, and the other one just totally points an azimuth, points a nose, turns around to their people and says, follow me, we're going to make our way through this because I'm not going to sit still, right? What we found during COVID is that the person who pointed azimuth went and led people the right direction and decided to just go ahead and be the entrepreneur they were, ended up better at the end. And so there was that piece that had to be balanced, and it
Right.
takes a whole lot of work, and there's a whole lot of tears that come through that, and a whole lot of unknown. But I tell you what, that's probably the deeper, darker part of it, and
Sure.
we've seen it. So I applaud you that y'all are just punching forward. That's about all
Thank
you
you.
can really do, and I applaud you on all the stuff that you've been doing for the Aggie 100 too, because that's not hard to do. We also usually try to ask that owner as he's going through, man, what do you do to take care of yourself? How are you running, doing all this, and at the same time juggling a family and a house and a wife? And how do you fall into there? You just ignore it. You got two choices, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I think setting up a really good routine and staying disciplined and
Yeah.
making time for yourself. I hit the gym 3 to 5 days a week as consistently as humanly possible. There are times where I'll hit the bed at 8 o'clock and crash, and maybe I won't go to the gym the next morning, and you got to recharge and get your rest. But finding time to decompress and de-stress, and that thing is as important as anything else, right?
Right.
But finding time, the main reason I started my business, in addition to being independent, was to control my time with my family. And so making sure we take that time to spend it with our kids and take those vacations. I grew up on a farm, and man, vacations were few and far between. Summertime was work time. And
Right.
I mean, as far back as I can remember. And that I think is extremely important as well.
Well, you were on a farm, but man, there's some prime dove hunting in Hondo. There's some.
Oh, absolutely, man. You're talking my language now.
Man, I tell you, that's a big thing for me to go back to that area over and over. Actually, Big Bend is better. I know a lot of people don't believe me, but it's incredible.
That's awesome.
Well, hey, so here's a chance now that we're getting close to our time here, but man, give your pitch to folks, on this, about what y'all do and what you need them to do, and how you're and where they can come see you, and this is the chance to highlight your business.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we believe strongly that we're the premium outdoor living design build contractor in the greater Houston market. We're a one-stop shop. We're everything from your neighborhood grill store. You can walk in here and buy a barbecue pit to take home today. You can buy Wagyu beef. You can buy sauces and seasoning. Wow. If you need copper gas lighting or a log set for your house, or or you need a patio cover, outdoor kitchen, fire pit, or a swimming pool, we do it all. And we feel strongly that we're the best, most qualified company in Houston.
Awesome. Well, now you got me interested, man. And that the next time that I need to go get myself a pellet grill, I'll come see you.
We sell the best around.
Which ones do you sell?
Yoder.
Really? And that's the best around. So
Yoder's made in Yoder, Kansas. It's American made, steel, no sheet metal. It's Wi-Fi. It's, temperature range 150 to 600. Definitely feel like it's the best one on the market.
Well, I've gone through two. I'll tell you that my pit boss caught fire somewhere on the back porch. I went the cheap way, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one, my Traeger rusted through.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. They had me with the marketing, man. They did.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're fortunate for Traeger. It's like Coca-Cola, right? I mean, you go to a restaurant and order a Coke, and then they ask you what brand you want. and that's Traeger
in Texas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And but Yoder's kind of taken that and built a true American made quality unit that, 10-year warranty on the body, and it's got all the bells and whistles too.
Awesome. So, here's my last question to you. And this may not fit you, maybe it's Yoder, but one of the things that we're doing this year is, and this is no charge to anybody because we're across from Kyle Field, we are trying to find people that want to advertise themselves and across from Kyle and come to our tailgate. So if you ever want to come to the tailgate and have yourself big and branded, man, just feel free because we're right across from Kyle. You can park and then just walk across to the game. So that'll always be fun.
That's awesome. I appreciate the invite.
Yeah. But no, when they brought your name up, we've been pivoting a little bit. We used to only talk to marketers, right? And we figured out through the years that our audience really wants to talk to the person who needs the marketing, right?
Okay.
What did they have to do in there? So that's kind of why we started to reach out to successful Aggie businesses and to put that out there. So man, thank you for your time. We do.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it'll be good. Now, next step is they'll put all this together. More than likely, this is going to go out more as audio than visual. And so what they'll do is they will make sure that it's all edited, put together. It's made right from all of this raw that we have. And then they will send it to you for your okay as you listen to it to make sure that you feel like you're well represented. And then we'll put it out to the world after that.
That's great, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
No, it was great. Next time you come for the Aggie 100, let me know. We're right across the street. We'll take you to lunch.
Yeah, I'll stop by, man. I appreciate that.
You got it. Okay. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye-bye.